Hello again, YouTubers. 247 here for PokemonCards247, and this is what I believe is our first recorded match upload here on PokemonCards247. This is round number 4 in my local pre-release that I was just at on Saturday. At this point, I am 3-0 in the tournament, and they're including me in Masters. There are 4 people left that are undefeated. Myself and my opponent for this match, who is Chris, and 2 people who are to my right. In this video, I am on the right-hand side with the clear sleeves. My opponent, Chris, is on the left. And you can see he's wearing a red sweatshirt over there. And when I opened my packs, you could have seen in the previous video, my pack opening. I didn't think I had very good pulls as far as deck building goes, or for resale value either. But actually, turned out pretty well, as obviously I'm 3-0 at this point. I thought I'd be lucky to go 2-3, but I did much better. My opponent was insistent here on flipping a coin instead of rolling a die as we typically do in Pokemon. But it's all good. And as you can see on his side, there will be some glare. Hopefully I can kind of figure out what's what here. I am starting with a Durant, which has Call for Backup, and he is starting with Ryalu. And right there, I think he played a Colress Machine. So he's searching his deck for a Plasma Energy. But as you can see, he's checking and checking, but he's not finding his Plasma Energy. So his conclusion then, he prized his one and only Plasma Energy. So the trainer fails, and he of course then has to reshuffle his deck and continue on with his turn. You can see there on my bench also have a Lunatone, which has Premonition, which allows you to look at the top 2 cards of your deck and then rearrange them. Now, the only bad part with having him right now is that I have the Call for Backup Durant, which there's no point in using Premonition, because if I use Call for Backup with the Durant, I shuffle my deck, and it doesn't matter what I do with the top 2 cards at that point. You can see there his bench Pokemon is Phanpy. And we realized at this point that there was a glare, so he actually tried to stick a die under it to angle it, and there obviously you can see it better then, but I don't think we keep it that way throughout the whole video, but at least there you got to see the confirmation that that is a Phanpy. Remember right, Phanpy can, for a fighting a Colress, does I think 50 damage. Again, if memory serves me correct. So he attached a Phanpy there on his turn and ended. Did not do anything with Ryalu. So now I use my Colress Machine to find a Plasma Energy. I have 2 Plasma Energies in my deck. One at this point is already in my hand, so possible that my other one was prized, but it was near the top of my deck. Had to go through almost the whole deck to find it, but it was in there. So that allows me to attach to a Plasma Pokemon, which Durant is. So once I'm done shuffling here, you will see that I will attach that Plasma Energy to my Durant. And of course offer my opponent to cut. And I don't have any good options on where to attach another energy, but attach a Lunatone, so if I do get in a pinch and have to use them, he's just 1 energy away from being able to use his attack, which is a Fight and a Colorless for 30 damage. So I use Call for Backup. So I get to search my deck for any Pokemon I want and add it to my hand. Does not go straight into the field of play. So definitely not as useful in a regular format that isn't pre-release, because there are so many decks in the format, or sorry, so many cards in the format that could make me shuffle my hand in my deck or whatever. Well, N being the particular one, and might actually be the only one in the format right now. Correct me if I'm wrong if you wish. And there you can see I went with Lotad. My deck, I have 2 Lotads and 2 Lombre, and I believe I went with that because, remember right, Phanpy is weak to water, so I figured, well, if I can get a Lombre out and powered up, he can do 50 for 3, which would be a 1-hit knockout on a double weak Phanpy. So you can see a little bit behind here, but my opponent there attached Large into Phanpy. Ryalu is kind of a sitting duck there. I drop my Lotad on my bench and attach my energy to him for the turn, and then I use Call for Backup to get the evolved form, Lombre. So I see he's powering up his Phanpy, letting the Ryalu sit there, so I'm getting ready to 1-hit KO that Phanpy when the time comes. There he goes, cutting my deck, and his turn. Looks like he's got multiple basic energies there in his hand, and not much else. So he attaches a 3rd energy to Phanpy, and that's all for him once again. So right away I'll evolve into my Lombre, give him his 2nd energy, so he's now 1 energy away from being fully powered. Now I think I'm trying to decide if I want to use Call for backup, which I ultimately do here, or if I wanted to push up the Lombre right away and start attacking, but as you can see, obviously went with Call for backup. And I go with my Team Plasma Dredagon. Not really in there for attacking purposes, but if I need to stall for a couple turns, it's a basic Pokemon with 110 HP. So that would buy me, even with Phanpy doing 50 damage per turn, Dredagon could absorb 3 attacks from him before being knocked out. So if I am needing a few turns to get further set up or something, I could push him up and absorb a few blows before fighting back myself. So now we both have our bench basically where we want for this early stage in the game. So now my opponent, with his Phanpy fully powered, decides to start attaching to the Riolu. But I believe his first attack has a 2 energy requirement, so cannot actually attack with him yet. But he's getting him ready there. So now I believe I will drop my Dredagon. Perhaps. Well, there's my opponent's hand. Looks like that is an Amoonguss for a Pokemon, and 3 basic energies he's got. I actually drop Phanpy of my own. Looks like. And attach to Phanpy. Now I do that instead of Lombre because Lombre only needs 1 more energy to be able to use his full final attack, strongest attack. And I'm pretty sure I got more energy in my hand. So by doing this, I get additional Pokemon closer to being able to attack. And then once I'm ready to start attacking, I have options on who I can push out. Whereas if I attach it to Lombre that turn, and I want to use Phanpy, he's going to be far behind on being able to attack. So, and you can see attached to Riolu, and he does the first damage of the game, 20 damage. And that was on his 5th turn, I believe. So he went 4 turns without doing any attacks for any damage. I just did 3 or 4 call for backups, and he did attach pass each turn. It's obviously a pretty boring start to the game, but now we can start exchanging attacks and actually start taking some prizes here. I contemplate my hand. I usually think longer than most players. I'm one of the slower players out there, so my turns will take longer than the average person, especially since I haven't been playing as frequently lately, so my mind isn't up to snuff with Pokemon currently. So, as you can see, I think I'm still using Call for backup while he's actually doing his turn. And I go with the Soul Rock. Another high HP basic, 90 HP. I got the Pokemon that I need to attack with. So, just like the Dredagon, just getting some extra backup just in case I need to absorb some attacks later on. And that also helps me thin my deck out so that I'm more certain to draw basic energy, which is the most important thing later on when you don't want to miss energy drops in pre-releases especially. Well, anytime you don't want to miss an energy drop, but so that way once I stop using the Call for backup, I can start using Lutone's Premonition, and it'll be pretty likely that at least one of those top 2 cards will be a basic energy, so I can then manipulate those top 2 cards to get the energy that I want. And then you can see he attached another energy to Riolu that turn and did 40 damage to my Durant. And Durant has 70 HP, so he's got just 10 HP left. So I could leave him active here and use Call for backup one last time and then have him get knocked out on the next turn, but especially in pre-releases, there's very limited options on ways you can attack Pokemon on the bench or make bench Pokemon active of your opponents. So, after I do some thinking here, I think I just used Premonition there actually, I ultimately will retreat him, and I have not yet attached to this turn. I attached to Phanpy the previous turn, so I'm trying to decide, do I want to push up the Lombre and start busting some heads with him? No, I decided to go with the Phanpy, because I want to have that Lombre for his Phanpy, and ultimately one hit knock him out, and do 100 damage for 3 energy, since he is weak. So with Phanpy, I managed to do 50 damage to his Riolu, leaving him with, I think, 20 left. Can't remember if he's got 60 or 70 HP for sure, but anyways, obviously he won't last too long here. And there he actually attaches a 4th energy to Phanpy. Not sure if he's playing Donphan in his deck or not at this point. Actually, I'm not even sure if Donphan is in the set. I have to double check on that. And there you can see his hand still with 3 energy and that Amoonguss, I believe. So, he does 40 damage to my Phanpy. And then I go for the knockout. So, there is the first prize taken in the game. And I also attached to Lombre that turn. So, Lombre is fully powered and ready to go. And on his bench there, he drops a Patrat. I think that's one that has collect for 1 energy, which lets you draw a card. No damage though. There are 2 different Patrats in the set. And there he knocks out my Pokemon, my Phanpy. So we're both at 1 prize taken each. Use my Premonition. Check those top 2 cards. And even if I don't change them, at least it lets me know what's going to be my next draw. So I may affect like what energy attached to what Pokemon and such. And if I need a fire for a certain attack or something, or fighting, then I know if I'm going to get it or not. So there I did my, I think it's Wave Splash for 50 damage to knock out his Phanpy. The 1-hit knockout. Despite him. So don't know why you attached the 4th energy to him. Well, he didn't, I guess he didn't have the Patrat previously to that. As we saw, he only had the 3 energies and an Amoonguss. So if he wanted to attach energy for the turn, he had to do it to Phanpy or nobody, basically. So he's got his Patrat active there, and I think he used Collect. And there I am using the supporter card for Team Plasma. If I discard a Team Plasma Pokemon, or a Team Plasma card, excuse me, I then get to draw 4 cards. So, especially in Prerelease, very nice to be able to draw, well, 10% of your deck, as you start with 40 cards. Now I attach that Druddigon, just in case I want to use them. And his first attack, two energies of any kind, does 20 damage and reduces the damage taken on the next attack by 20. So 50 damage, Patrat has 50 HP, knocks him out. And I'm not sure what Pokemon that was he had active, but it has 60 HP. But he's had to push out another Patrat and use Collect, which has 50, which essentially ends the game because he knows I can do 50. But I still go ahead and attach my energy for turn, and then do Wave Splash for 50. And there you can see my hand. So, I win, and I go to 4-0.